Hey everyone, it's Diamond Brown, a mom on assignment, and today I wanted to share a little bit about my son's eczema journey. I do have a 7-year-old daughter who also dealt with eczema, but in no way the same way that my son dealt with eczema. My hope is that I can share with you some things that triggered his eczema and our treatment plan. So if you're dealing with this, you could use some helpful information. So let's start with how this all got started. So it was my daughter's 7th birthday, and I'm getting my son ready, and I noticed a few little dark spots on his face and his arms. I didn't think too much of it. Newborns sometimes are like shedding skin, and there's a lot of new skin going on. There's lots of Mongolian spots. And so I'm not taking too much stake into these dark spots that I see. I'm the one giving him his showers and putting on his moisturizer, and so I knew that I was doing my job and keeping him moisturized and giving him a bath. So at the party, people were excited about the new baby. I probably shouldn't have allowed some of this, but people were passing him around, and one by one I started to get question after question about his legs, how dry they felt, or what's going on with his face, because they noticed the brown spots that I also saw. And I told myself, okay, no need to call the scene or to raise an alarm about this. Just wait and take him to the doctors. He was going to see the doctor on a normal schedule visit about a week or so out. And so no need to make any rush. That night, he scratched his face, he scratched his legs, he scratched so much that his whole onesie had blood all over it because he was bleeding. And I tried to maintain it at home, but it looked like it was getting infected. And so I called for an immediate appointment. So we got the appointment and we were able to get in, and we confirmed that it was eczema and that we needed to get some cream to heal the infection, and that I should follow up with daily baths, some moisturizer, cream, and lotion, and sealing the moisture in with Aquaphor Vaseline. Okay, I could do that. So about 2 or 3 weeks passed. The infection didn't spread, it stopped, but the brown spots were still there. We didn't see anything clearing up at all. And so I made another follow-up appointment with his primary care physician to ask about next steps. Now, he did give me a steroid cream called Desanide. And Desanide was helpful. It was a little bit higher level than hydrocortisone cream. And so I'm using it. I'm not seeing much change, but it's not spreading, but he's still scratching and itching all the time, and he seemed really miserable. So I went ahead. I was very glad that our insurance company didn't require referrals, because I just made appointments with the allergist and the dermatologist so that I can find the root cause of what was going on. So fast forward to the allergist, and they did one of those tests on his back, which is kind of hard to watch, but at that time 4-month-old had these marks put on his back, and she just kind of like stamped his back with this bar that had, I guess, different types of elements on it. And it turned out that he was allergic to milk, eggs, and almonds, things that I was eating every single day. And so, of course, I felt horrible. I had to work past some mom guilt. But at that time, I knew the root of the problem. We also saw the dermatologist, who told me a lot about just bacteria, about removing bacteria from the baby's crib, anywhere he's sleeping or lying down. And so, although we keep a pretty clean house, there's a lot of movement in our home. We kind of share blankets. And so I had to get really good about, washing his blankets with detergent that was all free and clear and no dryer sheets. And so we all kind of adopted that type of treatment for our laundry, because we all hug the baby and are around the baby often. So those are some of the triggers that I wanted to mention. I went through that fast, but the triggers are allergies. It could be bacteria in the air or around the house. It also could be your sheets could be a trigger for the baby. Those are just a few of the triggers that my son had, but there could be others. If you are concerned about eczema, make sure you speak with your doctor to get a full list of what could be contributing to your son or daughter's eczema. But those were some of the things that my son dealt with. And so getting on to the treatment plan. So I had to start giving my son not just baths, but 30-minute baths daily. And that was hard. For a while, he was getting fun, having fun, playing around. But that only lasted about 15, maybe 20 minutes. So I had to get real creative with playing songs in there and dancing for him, having my daughter help me to give him a bath to get to that 30-minute time frame. And it's something about that 30 minutes that really allowed his skin to soak in the water. And I saw a big drastic change within the first week of doing those 30-minute baths. We also started giving him Zyrtec once or twice a day, just to make sure that anything that I gave him through my breast milk, if it was causing any type of allergic reaction, the Zyrtec already being in his system as an antihistamine would do its job. And so the scratching that he was doing daily went down tremendously. So I was very glad to have that also in his treatment plan. The next thing I did was that I looked at all of the sheets. I washed all of our sheets over and replaced our laundry detergent, but I also bought dust mite pillow covers. He does sleep flat, but for the most part, if I'm breastfeeding him, I'll use a pillow. And I wanted to make sure that also didn't have any dust mites that could also trigger his skin. So for the most part, that was the large part of his treatment plan. Outside of the things that I was already doing, like giving him Desinide for his skin. Now the dermatologist went a step up from the Desinide and give him its very long name. I call it the T cream, but it's a very long name and it begins with a T. But that was a higher level up from the Desinide. And that also changed the plan because then this cream that began with a T cream, we would use over his body, but it was too strong for his face. So that was a small change that I had to make sure my husband also knew about and my mom knew about, because she also was coming to visit me often to help me take care of the baby. So it was a very trying time, and we're kind of still going through it. But in no way, shape, or form is he like he was when we first found out. And I'm very glad to kind of know what was contributing to his eczema. So I just wanted to share the treatment plan and some of those options. Hopefully this video gave you some questions that you can ask your doctor if your son or daughter is struggling with eczema. Always make sure you advocate for yourself and your children. I mean, I could have waited a little longer. I mean, when I called the doctor, sometimes they would say, well, you have an appointment coming up. Are you sure you want to come in? Yes, I want to come in today. I need you to find somebody who can see my son. I don't need to see his primary care physician. I need to be in today. So always make sure that you're advocating for your kids. Another thing that happened during this journey is that they gave us a cream. It was like a 30-day supply. And we went through it in like 2 weeks. And I went to refill it, but my pharmacy said that my insurance wouldn't cover it. And this is when you gotta go in your pockets and do what you gotta do for your kids, because we did have to pay for some of those creams out of pocket because our insurance weren't covered, but my son needed the cream. And so just make sure that you're asking questions about generic products versus top of the line products. Maybe there's something you can get for your son or daughter if your insurance doesn't cover the creams that your son or daughter needs. A good starting point is always hydrocortisone cream, Vaseline, Aquaphor, and CeraVe lotion. So those are our holy grail now. They're all around the house. We're all using them because my son really needs them for his skin. And so I'm hoping that was helpful. I wrote a blog post about this, and I'll put my website on the bottom of this video in case you want to check that out for a little bit more info. But I'm hoping that this gets you on the track if you're a mom struggling with eczema. All right, take care.